Hello, Illumineers. Welcome back to another episode of Limited Quackdown. I'm your host, Joe, joined on the line by Jimmy in New Orleans. Oh, I'm down in Florida, let's not forget. And unfortunately, Joe Mooman was unable to join tonight. He was feeling a little bit under the weather. So we sent him our best, and we'll do our best with our nasally selves. Jimmy, how was your week?
Pretty good. We had the cash tournament this weekend. I was the bubble boy. I got 9th on tiebreakers, but it was a good time. I
What'd you
played
run?
Spicy red purple list with 12 1-0s.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, my loss was to I drew with dogs. We had
Okay.
a 40-minute game 2 where he played Chromicon on 3 and I won that game somehow.
Nice.
And then we had 4 minutes left to play game 3, so it was just a draw.
A draw.
I lost to the Amber Amethyst, basically draw go. It's just, play a dude that draws the cards and then eventually Raging Storm and play a library.
Okay.
I didn't have enough 2-questers in my deck, so I wasn't fast enough.
All right. I haven't seen that kind of Amber Amethyst list yet. I'm still used to the Blurple adjacent kind of builds on those colors.
Yeah. No Lantern. It did run Willow though, but
Okay.
Cusco's and Diablos, 3-drop Elsa.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. He made top 8. It was good. Yeah. He made the finals. He lost in the finals to Purple Steel.
Wow. All right. Yeah, we had a 5K, not last weekend, but the weekend before. It's been a little bit since we recorded. I unfortunately did not have that good of a showing. I was on Blurple. I went 1-3. I had 2 matches that actually went to time, and I lost on turn 5. So I was pretty close to 1-1 and 2, but couldn't get it done. Couldn't close these games out. So not much of a constructed player generally. Like to stick to limited, but do like to dip my toe into the big tournaments once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we are Limited Quackdown. We are a Team Snuggly Duckling podcast. We are sponsored by Mattified. If you want to check out some of the best mats that Lorcana has to offer, and actually all TCGs if you're into other games as well, go check out Mattified for some of the really nicest foiled out mats. Show some bling on your next draft night, your next constructed tournament, and show our boy some love. Head over to Mattified and tell them that TSD sent you there. So with that, our main topic tonight is going to be Cube. But before we get into Cube, let's do a little pack cracking. We have a couple of winter spell packs to dip into and talk about the picks and see what our pick one would be. You want to lead us off, Jimmy?
Sure.
It's the best sound.
We got to pack one right in the front. We're starting with Lumpy.
Lumpy. It's going to be tough to knock him off.
Minnie Mouse.
All right.
Fangmire.
Yep.
Darkwing.
Mm-hmm.
5-drop Goofy.
All right.
This is a good sealed pack. Is it the Frozen Vine? Yeah, Frozen Vine. 2-drop Scrooge.
Wow.
Daisy. Eeyore. And then the Cold never bothered me anyway. And Percy. Yeah, this pack is absolutely busted for sealed.
Absolutely. Lumpy, I think, is still the pick. Scrooge is going to be close. That 2-drop Scrooge is a house.
Lumpy and Scrooge are definitely my favorites. I guess since last time we recorded, I did one more pre-release sealed, and I had 2 Scrooges, 2 Slushies, 2 Chiefs.
Nice.
And then my card draw was Pete.
Okay.
Stitch, Alice, and I had a Minnie Mouse for my boost characters.
Okay.
It ended up only being 4 people showed, so it was just 2 rounds and I won both of them.
But sure, pretty easily. It sounds like
it was very easy.
Nice. Did you run that 2-drop Scrooge in your constructed deck?
Yeah, the whole deck was based around him.
Okay, Scrooge and picking him up with a bunch of cards under him.
Yeah, I had Tigger's Elephant and Olaf.
Very nice.
To help pick him up.
Very cool. Yeah, it seems like a good card to start building around for Constructed as well. But you think you'd land on Lumpy here, or would you take the Scrooge?
I mean, pick one, pack one. I'm taking the Lumpy, but Scrooge is so good.
Yep.
They've both been really, really good so far in
But
the
I think you're going to get to 6 most of your games, and Lumpy just closes it out.
yeah. And there's only like one other evasive that can take them out, I think, right?
Yeah, Slushy is the 5/5.
Just Slushy, yeah.
Yep. Oh, and Amos, if they're running the 6/4 alert,
yeah, I guess, yeah.
cleans that up. But yeah, Lumpy OP. All right, let's take a look
Let's see
at
what you got.
what my pack has to offer. All right, we're going to lead off with a Yow. Mother will protect you. A Darkwing Duck dog. We've got Blue Smoke. We have a Launchpad. We have Hercules. We've got a Pleakley. Judy Hops. Splatter Phoenix. Snowboarder Stitch. Belle. And Visiting Christmas Past. I don't know. I think I kind of land on Stitch here. Card draw, 2-quester.
I would put it between Stitch and Belle, most likely, and I'd take the Stitch.
Yeah, I think I'd land on Stitch pretty easily too. And there we go. We got little Stitch.
Yeah,
we got big Stitch back there with him. All right. It's a couple kind of easy picks tonight, I think. The card advantage. I mean, your pick was easy, but not quite a slam.
I guess it was easy between two choices.
Yep. Not quite like my my Let It Go last week. That was an easy slam. All right. So, like I'd said, our main topic tonight is going to be Cube Draft, Cube Sealed. What is Cube? How do you fit all these cards into a cube? We've got a presentation for everybody. We got some discussions about, some of the updates I've made to my cube for set 11. Actually, that's going to be the bulk of it tonight. Then some cube sample packs, some cube resources for everyone who's interested in getting into this a little bit more. Jimmy, why don't you bring up the deck and we will kick it off. So Cube started with Magic. I'm not sure how long ago, but it has been around for some time. It is basically a curated draft set where the designer of the cube gets to choose the cards that they want, the cards they like, the cards that are the best cards. It's usually going to be very high powered. There are some cubes, and I've already started to see them in Lorcana, where they'll restrict the rarity, where you might only have a cube with all commons and uncommons. Those are called pauper and peasant cubes. And in Lorcana,
called a street rat.
In Lorcana?
Yeah.
Nice. I haven't seen that yet. That's awesome. And even ones where they just exclude now super rares and legendaries, keep the power level at rare and below. And you'll see even from the cards I picked, there are mostly legendaries because that's where the bulk of the power is going to be in Lorcana. Jimmy, what's some of your prior cube experience?
Yeah, same. Mostly Magic. I guess, yeah. I mean, I went to Baton Rouge a couple weekends ago to go play some Magic Cube with some friends. And they had an LSV power cube.
Oh.
It was fun.
Proxies or the real cards?
Proxies.
Okay. One of my buddies has gone a little bit crazy in the last year, and he's acquired a set of beta Moxes. And he was in Europe this past weekend and acquired a beta Ancestral and a beta Time Walk. So, and we actually play with these cards. He's out of his mind. We did a power draft for the holidays, and opening a pack that has a power card in it and it's real and you get to play with it is next level stuff. For those who don't know, in Magic, the Power 9 are these legendary adjacent Magic cards that are of such power level that they don't print things quite like them anymore, and they're on the Magic reserve list, which means they will never be reprinted.
And all the old stuff is worth a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, that aside, they are ultra powerful, and it's just a ton of fun to play with. They let you do some incredibly busted things. Extra turns for basically 2 ink, we would say. So yeah, it's these tend to be the ultimate draft skill test, because you're going to look for archetypes. You're going to have to make hard decisions between really good cards. When we open these retail limited packs, usually it's pretty quickly to figure out what the one or two cards are. If you have a choice of 3 cards, you got a pretty loaded pack. But in a cube pack, you're going to see generally when you open it, you're going to want to take most of those cards, and you really have to factor in, how does your curve look, and how do these cards synergize with what you already have going on, and build out from there. So it's here's some of the cube all-stars that you would think you would see. Be prepared. Um, Basically, until this most recent set, a one-of-a-kind effect. Dumbo, just one of the best card draw engines that the game has to offer. A card like Rapunzel that's just a one-shot to draw multiple cards. Everyone knows how good Demona is right now from her playing core. Beast, a classic. I was really sad when I was making this slide to see that card is like $5 now.
Oh, yeah.
But again, just another way to just draw an extra card every turn. And, a card like Morph that you don't necessarily isn't always going to jump out of a pack at you, but when you have so many amazing Floodborns built into the cube, Morph could turn into just about anything.
Yeah, and that's like the best part is you play a Morph and then they have to worry about every single possible shift character that they saw while drafting.
Yep. And probably some they didn't even get to see because you took them soon.
Yep.
Yeah, when you see, I've had Morph past me a couple of times, and I try to tell everybody before we draft, because, when you draft cube with people for the first time, not everybody knows, exactly what to be looking out for. And I always say, I'm like, Morph is one of the best cards in the cube because he is everything all the time.
Yeah. Even if like you somehow don't end up with any floodboards, that fear is enough.
Yep. Yeah, it could be that the Shift Mulan that's going to deal 5 damage to a bunch of things in one turn. It could turn into Beast on turn 3. The possibilities really are kind of endless. So that's kind of what cube is. Let's get into. I think next we're going to jump into some of the updates.
Yeah, some updates to your cube.
Yeah. So I've been running my cube since I believe we started it in set 4 or 5. When the card pool was really small. The cube is 576 cards. I should have made a slide for this. The cube's 576 cards, which will allow 12 players to play a draft if we max it out. But when you have a typical 8-person draft pot, it means you're going to use 2/3 of the cube every time, which keeps it fresh from draft to draft, because you don't want to know every time someone is going to have a B prep or somebody is going to have, a genie and a way to pick it up, like 4 different ways to pick it up. So by only using 2/3 of the cube, typically, you keep a little more randomness in the draws. So yeah, this time for the cube, there were 53 swaps. The initial swaps, I think the first swap was over 100 cards, because with 576 cards and such a small card pool, there was always a lot to trade out. And as the sets have gone on, the amount of cards that get swapped out have become smaller and smaller, because it gets harder. It's funny. The first time we did a cube update, my son, he was either 8 or 9 at the time, was like, "Oh, this is great. We just get to add all these cards in." I was like, "No, that's not how cube works. You actually have to take the time and figure out which cards are going to leave, because otherwise you'll end up with a cube that's, 1,000 cards or 1,200 cards, and then you're never going to see the cards you want, and then the power level will be super diluted." So by having a fixed amount of cards, you continue to increase the power level over time, and always make sure that it's fresh and interesting.
So when you do the update, is it only Winterspell's cards going in?
This time, I think it was only Winterspell cards. There have been updates in the past where I've pulled cards from. I keep a box that has one of every card from Lorcana, so that I can go through it pretty quickly, and find the cards that I need. Usually after 1 or 2 drafts, I'll go back and do another small revision when I see what's playing well, what doesn't. And there's even a slide we'll see at the end of like the next 10 cards that were in consideration that I couldn't make the room for. And some of those cards, like I think after whatever set Vincenzo was printed in, he didn't make it in the first cut. And then after like one or two plays, I was like, I don't know how I left that card out. So you figure out what is better than you thought and what didn't quite live up to the hype. And, you continually adjust.
Yeah, whenever you sent the first revision, like you said, 53 cards, like, man, that's a lot. That's crazy. So I went and went through Winterspell, just like casually was adding cards I'd think about adding to the cube. And I was like, oh, I added half the set. I got 102 cards here that might go in. I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. And that's even without going back, because like I would assume, like if I'm going to add in all the Darkwing detective stuff, I want to go back and find other detectives that weren't in to make that have more options for the person drafting detectives if it's there,
Right. That was actually the one Darkwing card, and we'll see in a second, that didn't make it in, was the detective one. We still don't have, I still don't really support archetypes in that matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
There's just not enough yet.
It's just straight power level. And there's not enough where if two people open a detective card and this card says do detectives and they both take it, there's not going to be enough cards for them both to make a good deck. So I don't want to send people down a path where they're going to end up taking lower quality cards to try and synergize with something that's not going to pan out for them. So the initial thought when I was building the cube was I really wanted to show off the floodboard mechanic because it's so unique to our game. So a lot of the original cards and some of the synergies were built around that. I had a Magic Broom package in there for a while. That only lasted a couple of sets because it didn't come together. The Flotsam Jetsam cards, where they trigger off of each other and give each other added abilities, has been in there up until a few of those cards we're going to see came out for this one. And that never really panned out quite how I wanted it to. So for now, we're sticking with power level until we can really dive into synergies. And really, eventually, I want to have a color restriction when we draft. But before we can do that, we need to have adequate representation of like card draw and removal across all the colors, so that not everyone is trying to play purple steel to get card draw and removal, and everyone leaves the blue cards on the sideline. All right, so with that, let's jump in. The first big update to this cube was Darkwing Duck, a fan favorite, one of my favorite cartoons when I was growing up. It was great to see Darkwing come to life in this set, and I really wanted to make sure that there was enough here for this shift. The one Darkwing card that was excluded is the 5-drop Sapphire card that looks for detectives. The switches here were pretty straightforward. The Simba card, it was nice to add another Inkable at the one spot. The Simba card is nice when you draw it late. It didn't see a ton of play, so having that extra shift target for the 1-drop Darkwing was why that made it. The 2-drop Robin Hood existed basically as a shift target for the couple of 5-drop Robins that we see in the cube, and he has enough lower cost shift targets that I wanted to get the Drake Mallard in. Pua was always kind of underwhelming as a 2/2 bodyguard. It was nice that when they beat it, you got to draw the card off it, but adding another rush character I think was nice. There's not a ton of rush characters, so to get another one in there. And I really always loved this Cheshire Cat card personally. I thought as a big evasive, with that ability to tap and banish something, it would see play. But when you get up to that 8 ink, people seem to be wanting to do something else, and this card often was left on the sidelines. So I thought it was just time to try something else.
Yeah, the shift targets for him are not the best.
No, I mean, the best one is the 3-drop, and you definitely don't want to cover that guy up.
Right.
So we'll actually see one of his other shift targets come out a little bit later. But Ed, did you have any other thoughts about any of these changes?
No, I mean, this all seems pretty straightforward. If you're going to bring in the package, these all seems like reasonable removals.
Excellent. All right, so Pluto made way for another caped hero, the Negaduck, or anti-hero. This might have come in more just because I opened the Enchanted and wanted to get the Enchanted in there. The Pluto, again, kind of fell to the same thing that the Cheshire Cat did. It's a big body. Having a big bodyguard is good that can remove damage. It really makes it so they have to deal with it all in one turn, or he's going to heal himself. But being able to shift the Negaduck multiple turns earlier, if you can get that 6/5 body down on turn 3, if you're lucky enough to pick up the shift line, but even just as a 5-drop, The lore drain, I think, is a nice effect to add. I actually lost 2 games to my son earlier this week to Pirate's Life, which I still always underestimate, but I ended up just that many lore short. I was one game and 2 another game where if he hadn't played Pirate's Life, I would have won. So you got to respect the lore drain. And the 3/4 Pluto 4/3 as a vanilla is super unimpressive in a cube where there's so many more powerful things to do. So to be able to get a 4 strength character in at the 2 spot instead of a 3/4 at the 3 spot, I think is almost an improvement for a vanilla. And a much more accessible shift line. I wish there were more targets for Naked Duck. Hopefully we'll see some more in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, I agree. Just being able to remove as many of the underpowered vanillas now from the older sets is a good.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest upgrades when we did the first one, I think from set 4 to set 5. There were so many vanilla cards that had to come in the cube at the beginning just to fill out the 576 that it was like all the vanillas disappeared, because if it doesn't have a keyword, it really has no business being in here. All right, the Todd line.
Oh, you took out Fred.
Yeah, I took out Fred. The 1-drop is a little too aggro of a card. It is 3 lore. You're basically guaranteed to get at least 3 lore off it. The one I could see coming back in eventually would be the 3-drop, depending on where the item removal is at and, depending on curve considerations for the cube. But Big Fred, really, nobody ever played it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. And like I said, the cube is shift heavy. So I thought that people would play it and try and pick it up. I tried it a couple times myself. It was medium.
Okay.
It's almost always going to draw you a card because you're bound to have multiple Floodborns in your deck with my cube. But it's a 3-quester. It shifts on 5. It's everything about it seems nice, but it just never. People cut it from their deck when at the end of the draft. And I really wanted to give again, this might be just me opening an Enchanted and wanting to find a way to get it in there. But I like the 4-drop Todd a lot. The 1-drop, putting a vanilla in isn't the best. It combos with the Vixie, which we'll see made it in a little bit later, to play Vixie on too. And the Todd with the options, the Todd 4-drop has been impressive in Limited so far.
Yeah.
But
no, I like the Todd shift line for sure. I like the the 7-drop. I have to look through your cube again to see exactly how many actions and items you have to be able to trigger them. But I would assume there's a fair amount.
There's a fair amount. There's not quite as many as you'd like to have, like to be able to do it twice a turn consistently. But you will be able to get a few turns where you get multiple activations out of him. And even if you can get him down as a shift on that 1-drop, the 6/6 evasive is a house to deal with.
Yep. But yeah, these enchanteds are gorgeous, so I wouldn't blame you if you try to get all of them in there.
One of them didn't make it. One of them didn't, but he was in that. He's on that the next 10 up, just in case. All right, so out of the shift lines, these are just going to be the basic updates to the cube where every card that we want to bring in, we have to put one out. Some of the decisions are a little bit easier than others. Some of them get a little bit tricky. And like you said, you found over 100 cards that you'd want to bring in. So at some point, you really have to draw a line somewhere. So the first one we have Jetsam. This is part of the old Flotsam and Jetsam packages that I tried to run. But the 2/2 Ward 2-quester was a pretty easy one to take out. It's way understated at this point for 3 ink. And this genie that replaced it has been an absolute monster. This card's even better than I anticipated it being. It's often questing for 3, 4, 5, 6. You can just sit there and just let it build up. And my cube has a ton of ways to pick up cards. Family Fishing Pole was one that I missed the first time through set 9 and ended up adding when I did the set 10 update. And that card has substantially overperformed what I expected it to.
Interesting. Yeah. Picking up cards is always good, especially since cubes are singleton. Being able to get the same effect multiple times is always great.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a ton of card draw, lots of things that come into play and draw cards or have great effects. So every way you can get to picking things up. I mean, the Madam Mims everyone's familiar with from, previous core sets. And even now the Madam Mim Elephant is still showing its strength. Like you said, picking up your Scrooge, and it was being played in Purple Steel before, being able to pick up genies and pick up Cheshire Cats to get the cards under them. There's a lot of things you can do with bounce. The next card is Anna, the 2/2 quester. It has a little bit of synergy with Elsa. Again, the same stat line as that Jetsam without the ward. That Elsa is basically, there's a lot of Elsas in the cube, but it's really tough to make those synergize, it being a singleton format. This was in as a shift consideration, but the shiftable Anna has, still 2 or 3 other cards she can shift onto. So we replaced her with Angela. Angela was really promising when I had played with her in my first sealed. I've played with her once in the cube so far, and she has lived up to the hype, letting a card trade up and then live through the next turn with that resist until the start of your next turn. Not a bad card also to pick up to get those triggers back again.
Yeah, she's been great in the few sealed games I've played against her.
Yeah, you think you're safe, and then they play at Angela, and all of a sudden you're losing what you didn't think you were going to. That was a fairly easy swap to make as well. The next card is the 5-drop Flotsam with Rush. It's a 3/4, 2 quester with Rush, and he was replaced with Stitch Snowboarder. We have, first off, he's inkable. He's improved stats. He doesn't rush. If I had wanted to replace this with a rusher, I would have put in the Terran. It's a 5/5 rusher at the same cost. But here, just another way to add card advantage. We reduced the uninkable count, I think, by 2 or 3 cards. That's something I've been trying to do a little bit with each set, is reduce the uninkable count a little bit, because we're at a little bit under 25%, which is kind of standard with where a retail set is. But again, when we do draft with some unexperienced drafters, and I've had people at the end of their pool, out of their 48 cards, they have like 20 uninkables, and they end up having to run like 12 to 15 of them, and it just turns into a nightmare. So it's really, reducing the uninkables adds a little bit of training wheels for people who haven't cubed before, to make sure that they have a playable deck at the end of the draft.
That's a good idea.
That was again a pretty easy swap, because again, for that cost with uninkability with Rush, there's just a substantially better card now anyway. But we added the Rusher with the Darkwing Dog, who doesn't quite get it done, who's only a 2/4, not a 3/4. But again, is a lower cost and is an inkable card. So I think that was an easy swap as well. Next up, we have the Queen. This is a 2/5 that when she quests, you get to look at the top card. You can put it on the top or the bottom of your deck. Or no, this is 3. Sorry, excuse me. This is, this is you look at the 3 and then put them back in any order. So this can't even bottom the bad cards. It can just kind of keep pushing them a couple more turns away.
Yeah.
But it's still the inevitability of you're going to get to those bad cards eventually. Or the less desirable cards. We typically don't have too many bad cards. And she was replaced with Angel.
It's a much better 4-drop.
Substantially. Angel's a little bit better in cube than she is in retail limited. You tend to have way more opportunities to draw cards and keep your hand full, keep those snowballs flying at your opponent. And no enchanted there yet.
No, not yet.
No.
Yeah, I ended up opening a foil one of those.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've been playing her in a little bit of Amber Steel aggro. It's been pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of spicy new decks.
No, you cut Vinny. I like Vinny so much. I wish he was more constructed playable.
I like Vinny too. But these are the things, like you eventually get to the point where some cards come out and you're sad to see him go. Vinny may make a return one day when we have a true aggro deck in the cube. Because he really is a good closer for aggro. He definitely makes board states difficult. He was replaced with Chief, an inkable 3-drop. This is another one of the places where we were able to get another inkable in. Card advantage here, bigger stats. He's not going to gain you the lore, but he is going to draw you cards, which will let you gain lore down the line. Doesn't really complicate board states like Vinny did. This was a switch that I wasn't, 100% sold on. Vinny is a good card, and we will see if he makes his return one day.
Yeah, Chief is great. Just anything that draws cards is always
even,
good.
even conditionally.
Yeah.
The next one we had was Stitch, the little rocket, 3/1 rush, uninkable 2-drop. This was one of the easiest swaps we made.
You just turned him into Beast, didn't you?
We sure did. It's the same card, but he's inkable. There's not a ton of locations, but it does have that upside where if you do tuck him in the library or Queen's Castle, you can challenge with him repeatedly without him taking damage. And one of the hidden modes of this card is he is a turn 3 shift for Sad Beast. Sad Beast never had shift targets on turn 3 until the last set when we had that Whisper Beast in Ruby at 2, and they gave us more good fortunes in this set with another 2-drop beast that we can shift him onto.
Yeah, pretty simple upgrade there.
Yep. Maleficent was one I was sad to see go, but this card just seemed underpowered anymore. She has good abilities, she draws cards, she can move damage, but a 2/3 at 5 is just so understated at that line that even if you get that one extra card off of her, she's going down pretty quickly. And she was replaced with Pete, cards, and more cards. And they're going to have to work a little bit harder to get this guy off the board. You can get a little bit of selection with him. Pete's been starting to show up in some core decks. I think he's going to be a good card and probably a cube include for some time to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the filter ability, or I guess it's called filter. I'm not really sure what you would call it, but to be able to pick the card you want to draw is very nice. And yeah, definitely the big body.
Yeah.
He's going to survive.
I had, again, my son. He had the Judy Hobson play, the 3/6 with support that lets you ready a character at the end of the turn with an Elanway in play. And he supported onto Judy. Judy banished Pete, held the 5 damage, and then he played Nohana Means Family. And I was like, oh, okay, this game is done. Draw 5. Beautiful.
Well, okay, so sometimes there's some downside.
Yeah, that's a corner case, but it was super heart-wrenching when that happened. And then we have the 3-drop Jetsam, who's going to be the last of the Flotsam Jetsams that bit the bullet on this one. This is a 2/4 Challenger 2. We can get a 4/4 for 3 now. We have a Bagheera that is just that, it's stock, and then we have, the new GG, and we have Lexington. So without the ability to give some Flotsams Challenger, this Jetsam is just a little bit past his prime. And he was replaced with Ling, 2/3 quester with the ability to pay an ink to give any character +1 this turn. I think Ling is a very good card. The Stitch and the Aquila that have that ability are very good cards, and I think this being able to spread it around, I think he's going to be around for a long time as well.
Yeah. Do you have the mini in the cube, the one that banishes exerted 5 power, 5 strength or more?
Yes, the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, you can always pump and then play, because Ling does any character.
Yep.
So for Criminal Mind and the mini, and there's another one too that like whenever you quest with her, she banishes an exerted character too, like a 4-drop.
Well, the one from Fable, that one's not in the cube.
Okay.
That one missed. Maybe if I open that iconic one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Cheshire Cat I was referring to earlier. This was one of the shift targets for the big cat. The characters that only deal damage to damage characters, I'm not so fond of anymore because we have so many cards that do it a little bit better, as we'll see with his replacement. Now we deal 2 damage to any character. It does lose the ink ability and a little bit of stats, but we do get the extra lore pip and the ability to just kill things or banish things that do not have any damage on them already.
Yeah, unconditional damage is always better. I'm glad that they had talked about this on the one of the main stages, that they're moving more green towards not having the conditional damage.
Yeah, things that just put damage on things are much better. I'm not sure if Mushu's going to survive, though. He was one of the ones I wasn't totally sure about because it is a very fragile body, and being uninkable is a big drawback to this card. I'd like to see it maybe do 3 damage, but that might
Yeah.
have been a little too strong.
Yeah, I could definitely see him going just because expensive to do 2 damage.
Yep. And super fragile. You don't want to see this thing get blown up before you get a chance to get those 3 lore in as well.
Yeah.
Next is Madam Mim. This is a 6-drop 4/5. Whenever this character quests, you can exert chosen opposing character. I thought this card was going to be really good. Exerting opposing characters is always really powerful, but you want your 6-drop to be able to challenge the things that you're exerting usually. This just, whenever it seemed to make the cut, most people were inking it. There weren't as many good stories around this card as I had hoped there would be. So this was kind of a tough cut for me because I had really high expectations for it that just didn't quite pan out. And she was replaced with Copper. Let's just get things banished. Copper was a card when I saw it spoiled, I knew would be an include in the cube. Just another kind of Maui effect, that Rush Reckless, and 8 is going to take care of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I've liked him a bunch so far, and just the Winter Spell sealed. Sealed. So I would assume he'd be pretty good in cube too, just because. Yeah, I can't really think of anything except for maybe Amber Chernabog or something.
Yep. And he's 1 point shy of getting a mana off the board.
Yeah.
But generally, he's going to take care of the business he needs to take care of. The next one was another one that was a little tough for me to take out because he's been there since set 1. This was the first quote-unquote expensive foil card that I opened back when set 1 was super scarce. This is a 4/4 2-quester, evasive during your turn. And if your opponent has more cards in hand than you get to draw a card. So this was kind of a card advantage card that wasn't replaced with one, but was replaced with a 6-drop that is near and dear to our hearts now. The big ol' Heffalump.
Yeah, he's just so good.
Yeah. Evasive on all turns is definitely better than just evasive on your turn.
Right.
You get some extra stats. He's still inkable. He's the same cost, same lore pips. He just doesn't have that card advantage quality that, honestly, by the time you're playing out your 6-drops, he's usually 50-50 if he's going to draw you a card or not. So I would rather take the guaranteed extra power, strength and willpower, and the ability to give him some defensive evasive as well.
Yeah, that all makes sense.
The next one was Mickey Mouse, Amethyst Champion. This is the one where whenever one of your other Amethyst characters is banished in a challenge, you get to draw a card. I had decks where I had 8, 9, 10 other Amethyst characters, and she just never seemed to do the thing. So this was a card that got tested for a few sets and just didn't make the cut. And she was replaced with Bambi. You're going to get some cards. Bambi, as I've seen so far, has been very good in Limited. I've even seen her in some constructed decks now as well. Your deck is you're going to have more non-characters, I think, in your cube decks than your typical Limited decks because the non-characters are so much more powerful when you get them. But she's still generally going to draw you a couple of cards. And with that 5 willpower, when she's coming down, if you're on the play on turn 4, your opponent's generally going to have to put multiple things into her to banish her, and that's after she's already gotten you that card back.
Yeah, and then she can just sit around, or he can just sit around and get boosted a few times, and then do something, like potentially, because one of the seal games I played, they got to boost Bambi 3 times before using them, and they sung Education Elimination with them, banished one of my characters, and then drew 3 cards. One of them was Terran to kill my the snowboarder Stitch.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this game's over.
Yeah, and that's one of the secret modes of Bambi is it's just whenever this character is exerted. So if you sing with it, if you quest with it, if you challenge with it, however you can turn this card sideways, you're going to get that trigger. And it's really not a bad turn 6 play either. Play it, boost it, and then the next turn you get the other boost and you're going to flip 2. I like the things that Bambi can do. I think he's going to be around for a long time as well. Unlike his legendary counterpart, which was in the cube very short time.
Oh, he actually made it in?
Most legendaries get a shot.
Okay.
The highest rarity stuff, they print them at that rarity for a reason, so we gotta give them a shake. All right. Next up, we have Helga Sinclair. This is the same as that Flotsam Jetsam card. It's a 2/4 Challenger 2 for 3 ink, and now at 3 ink, we just get a 4/4. There's no reason to have to settle for 2 strength on defense. This card swapped into Jiminy Cricket, 3/4, so we're getting the other strength and a really strong boost ability. Cube, you're going to want to play your 6, 7, 8 cost cards, and Jiminy's a way to get you there a couple of turns faster. People really, the first time they play Cube, and other cubes may be built differently, but my cube is really built as a mid to late game cube. I want people to really get to enjoy all the cards that they drafted, and I think by having super aggressive decks in the format, that kind of doesn't let people have the fun that they're kind of working into their decks. So
Yeah, no fun police.
There-
Red deck wins from the Magic days.
there really is not a fun police deck in my cube. I want everyone to have the fun that they were thinking about when they drafted their deck. I want all the dreams to come true. So Jiminy Cricket is a way to help you get there by boosting those extra cards that have already been banished and getting you to your late game a little bit sooner. Next up, we have Bernard. Bernard is a 1/5 where if he's exerted at the end of your turn, you get to ready another character of yours. Again, another card I thought would be good and have some utility to protect cards, but he just never seemed to make it in. He's a little understated for is just a 1/5. The fact that he has to be turned sideways to get that trigger, you're usually only going to get it once. He was replaced by Alice, 4/4 card advantage machine. Another 4-drop that's not too bad on turn 6 to get that first boost under it, so the next turn you can boost and draw 2. The 4/4 isn't going to just be banished to, their early plays or some of the like strength-based removal cards. Alice has been an all-star in Limited so far, and I expect her to perform as well in this environment.
Yeah, I've liked Alice so far a lot. Drawing cards is always fun.
Yep.
And so why did you take out Mr. Flaversham?
All right. So Hiram was not originally in the cube. He came in a couple of updates ago because I wanted to give him a shake. I added some more low-cost items, but without a full item deck around, he just wasn't quite there yet. He will make it back. He will be back, no doubt, in the cube. When we get to those archetype days and we can build a cube that has like true archetypes and everyone at the table is in like a deck, he will be back. This is just a temporary departure for him.
Was an issue people just drafting Popsicle and Fortisphere just because they're utility cantrips?
Yeah, people are going to take those cards anyway.
Yeah, right.
And there's not there really isn't item recursion because there's not enough of an item deck to warrant putting those cards in. And if you took him early, he could skew your picks towards things that weren't going to be optimal down the line because it's not constructed. You're not going Popsicle, Sail, Hiram. You need to get those cards in the right order. If you draw your Hiram and you don't draw any of your items, he doesn't really do a whole lot.
Nope.
So it was a tough decision. I was a degenerate red-blue player. I won a mat with a red-blue deck when it was the thing. And definitely sad to see him go, but his time will come. I have no doubt. He was replaced by Bell, Snowfield strategist. Another way to get to those late game cards. If you can play a Bell on turn 4, make a couple of good trades, play your Mufasa on turn 6, you're in a pretty good position to win that game.
Is this another enchanted in the cube?
It is. Oh, all the cards you see are the cards that are in my cube.
Okay, so the epic or the enchanted, all right.
If it's an epic or an enchanted, that is the actual version that's in there. There are some you notice that don't have them yet. They will. They all come eventually. But this is what I was fortunate enough to open so far. Bell's been a really good card.
Yeah.
A little still understated at 4, but that ramp ability more than makes up for it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time you're just never turning her sideways.
Yep. And it's nice that even when you have to turn her sideways, she does trigger off herself. She will ramp herself.
Yeah. And getting the extra lore, getting the 2 lore is nice.
Yep. Yeah, they could have easily made this card 1 lore, and I think it would still have been, a playable card because
Yeah.
of the ability on it. That extra lore pip is a nice bonus. The next one up is Tweedledee Tweedledum. This card I think stayed maybe a set too long. It was a card that I thought would be good to return damaged characters. Pick up your own cards. Pick up your make your opponent pick up their cards, but too many hoops to jump through to make sure that the cards that you want to pick up have those damage counters on them. And they were replaced by Moana, core all-star now. Well, becoming an all-star. And, this is, it is definitely card advantage when you no longer have to ink the cards out of your hand. And you know that when you draw cards, you get to keep them and continue to ink out of your discard to get you to that. It doesn't ramp you, but it gives you the card advantage of not having to ink from your hand.
Yeah, especially eventually in the late game, getting able to play multiple more expensive spells.
Yeah, without having to ink them, because you don't want to have to decide which of these 6 drops do I need to ink. You want to be able to say, all right, Moana, ink my visions and let me play my 6 drop and hold my other 6 drop for the next turn. All right, Perdita. This was this was a little bit of a tough one too. She has a really good ability. Replaying a 2 drop when she enters play and when she quests. But she was replaced with the Rockstar Lilo, who doesn't do it on play, but does it when questing. We again have ink ability here that we didn't have before. We have shift, so we can do it a little bit sooner. Still quest for 2. She hits a little bit harder when you hit into her. Perdita is a 1/6. You can easily send 2 cards into her, and if they both survive, getting that Lilo down on 4. There's plenty of targets for her. You can even, sometimes quest the turn you play her, like Perdita. I mean, Perdita, you couldn't shift, so you couldn't play it and quest to get 2 cards back in one turn. But if you set the Lilo up correctly, you can still get the card back the turn you play her.
Yeah, was there any consideration to leave them both in? So if someone gets both, they can go 2 drop heavier in the later packs or something?
There wasn't really. Definitely Perdita's a card I could see coming back in when we have a true aggro deck. Just to be able to recur those cards a little bit more. Because all the 2 drops are just becoming more and more powerful, the ones that are remaining in. So getting to replay them is an advantage. Perdita, along with Hiram, Vinny, I think are some of the cards that we would see come back in eventually. All right, the next card up is Huey. 2/3, when you quest with him, you pay 1 less for the next character you play this turn. This was a really, really easy swap. This became Grandmother Willow. The stats aren't the same, but you don't have to turn it sideways. You just get the effect every turn. Same cost, still uninkable. Grandmother Willow has been as good as advertised, getting to play your cards a turn early. And like I said, getting to do it every turn, as opposed to having to take those turns off.
Yeah, she's really, 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 really good.
There's not enough release in the world for that one.
Nope, it's pretty crazy. I expected her to be solid, in core and in seal, but she's just been way better than I thought.
Yep. Oh man, one of the seals we played, my opponent had it, and he had that card on turn 2 every damn game. It's he's like, you're cutting my deck, man. You're doing it to yourself. So, yeah, don't sleep on Willow. She is as good as advertised. Your cards are so good, you want to be playing them a turn early. When you play Willow in the next turn, you play Genie, you feel as good as you do in core.
Absolutely.
The next one up is Webby. This was originally included as a shift for Big Webby, just so even though it's not exactly the progression you want, putting your 2 cost shift onto your 3 drop, being able to get that immediate ramp from questing with the Big Webby. But really, this card just never saw play. Webby still has Webby 1 to shift onto. Webby was replaced with Vixie. Another Surfer Mini, and Evasive, that 1/3 Tinkerbell. And we now have 3 copies of this stat line in the cube. And if you can live in magical Christmas land, you can play that Todd on 1 and Vixie on 2, and you are off to the races. But this is still continues to be a solid stat line with the 2 quest points.
Yeah, I like the idea of having as many versions of this in the cube as possible.
Yep. Kronk, the 2 cost Kronk, Challenger 1 attack challenges is a 2/4. It's a little bit ho-hum at this point, and he was replaced with Christopher Robin, another card I'm not sure is actually going to stay in the cube, but something I wanted to give a chance to. Only 2 underdogs made it into this version, and he was one of them. He's pretty good on the draw, but there's a lot of cards like, Captain Hook, Calhoun. He can pretty easily be turned off, so I'm not sure he's going to actually stay. This is a kind of a tester spot for sure.
Yeah, especially since you've been avoiding the full aggro deck in the cube so far.
Yep. Yeah, he's a little aggro. Characters. So this Merlin Squirrel coming out, it's a good effect. But with the 6-drop Merlin shiftable one coming out, that card just never got played. It's like, a tutor, we can find any card, but it just, no one ever seemed to make it happen. You really need things to go very correct to line that up. So this was one of the Merlin cards that got the axe as a result of not needing as many shift targets for Big Merlin. And he was replaced with Nala. This card has been, again, super impressive in the retail limited games I've played with her. Being able to surprise somebody and get their evasive card gone, or just to give one of your cards evasive when your opponent doesn't have an answer, and close out a game with one of your big questers that might otherwise have been challenged down.
Yeah, I've liked Nala a lot. I played one in my core deck, my red-purple core deck, just because being able to make a big Scrooge evasive to challenge a genie or an Elso, or just be able to get a quest off.
Yep.
To get an extra boost to draw an extra card.
Solid card. And yeah, it's one of the things you're surprised in at Cube sometimes is you expect every card to be, rare or higher in their rarity. And some of the best utility cards, they actually print at common and uncommon, which is how they make, like we were saying in Magic, they have Pauper and Peasant Cubes. And what did you call the
Street
version
Rat
of that? Street Rat?
That's what they're calling
in Street Rat Lorcana Cube. You can really see the effects of some of these lower rarity cards shine. Next up, we have Magic Carpet, 2/1 evasive for 2, taps for flavor text, and he was replaced with the White Rabbit, the other underdog that made it in. Just a strict upgrade. You get the extra willpower. Sometimes you can play this card on turn 1. I really like, as a side note, what they're doing with the play promos now. I think giving them this nice border. They have a real nice foil to them. It's Ravensburger making a step in the right direction with their league promos. They still have a little bit of way to go, but at least they're starting to listen and spice them up a little.
Yeah, they did a main stage with one of the designers on the border, and he was talking about how it's basically they're trying to make it progressively gets more gold with the promos to get, because you're going from the gold border to a full golden Mickey, and that's kind of how you want to, go get all your promos across the game.
Okay, something to aspire to.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy swap with the extra willpower, and that, like I said, the ability to sometimes get it down on turn 1.
So if this is the only 2 underdogs, why not Angel? Since you have cards like Storm and Strength and Friends in the cube.
I don't know. Cindy's not in the cube either.
Okay.
1-drop Cindy. There's not that much emphasis on singers, and again, I don't want people to be skewed towards taking, because there are some songs that are more utility songs, and I don't want people to be taking songs to, like we were discussed in our set review, we don't want people to take less optimal cards because they're trying to fit a synergy that's not there.
Yeah, there's not enough to fill out.
And songs tend to be some of the highest cards taken just because of their intrinsic power of basically being able to be played for free.
Yep.
So a lot of times you're not going to have as many songs as you'd like, and they're just understated cards when they're in play. Same reason Ariel 6 is not in the cube, the one that you can pay 2 to deal 3 when you play a song. That's a card that's been right on the edge for a long time. Ariel Spectacular Singer, the 3-drop that when you play her, you get to look at the top 4 and take a song, made it in recently, I think with the last update, because as we'll see when we go down, a lot of the songs that come in replace non-song cards.
Okay.
So I'm really trying to up the density of songs. I want to make sure all the songs draw cards usually. If they have like a minor effect, they're always going to get you the card back. The Ariel 6, the Cindy, the Angel, their time will also come. Really just focused on straight power. Because even when you have Angel on 1, you're usually not going to want to sing your strength on turn 2. You know, you're not going to tempo someone out that quickly in this cube.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you're really going to want to hold those powerful songs. I mean, Friends is an exception where you might want to just sing that on 2 to load your hand up more. But we don't want people wasting their good songs too early just because they have the singer in play. The next one's Dump Truck. The 1 cost, ping something when it comes into play, uninkable 0-1. I do like Dump Truck. Dealing a damage to something on play is super nice, but being left with an 0-1 body, by the time it deals that 1 damage, you need your card to do more than 1 damage when you play it.
Yeah. Unless there's some sort of recursive or recursion, be able to pick them up over and over and over again. But I don't really know if there's any type of engine like that.
No, nothing where you can pick them up repeatedly. You can pick them up once and replay them, but that's not the stuff you want to be picking up. You want to pick up your Hades 7.
Yeah, for sure.
He was replaced with Scrooge. This is one of the few cards where we see a cost change. Just about all the other cards are going to be 1-for-1 swaps at their cube point, at their curve point. I really like the position that the curve is at right now. There's very few 1s in the cube overall. If your opponent is playing a 1 that's like a vanilla card, like that Todd we saw earlier, or like the Robin Hood 2/2, it's because they have the shift. There's not the 1s just aren't generally good enough to last in a long game, and I don't want people to be tricked into thinking that there's some kind of aggro deck where they're going to win, because their opponent's just going to get to turns 3, 4, and 5, clear their board, and they're going to just be done. And Scrooge, like we discussed earlier, incredibly powerful card. The boost 1 is trivial. He's basically a 4/4 the first time he goes sideways, and with multiple ways to pick him up, he can be a card advantage engine as well that you can get going pretty early and pretty inexpensively.
Yeah, he's becoming one of my favorite cards of the set.
Super good. This next one, this Rue, was also a very easy swap. This is a 2-cost 1/2 that gives opposing character, well, any character really, -2 strength until the start of your next turn. And this was replaced with just a strict upgrade to Simba, who is the same cost, same ability, same lore. You just get that 2nd point of strength. And that can make all the difference. A 1/2 for 2 is incredibly understated. And just to get that extra strength when you're, able to take the strength off an opposing character, I thought was nice. And Simba has shift target as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a strict upgrade by a lot.
Yep. And getting another one for that Simba 5, the one that will ready all your characters, I think is very helpful as well. All right. We're kind of coming to the end of the characters. I think we have 1 or 2 more slides. This is the Queen of Hearts. This one's a 2/3 with 3 lore pips, and if there's 5 or more damage characters in play, it can quest for 6. I have done this once ever. I have tried this card a bunch of times. It takes incredible timing and sometimes just making bad attacks or bad challenges to put damage on 2 more characters just to make this thing quest for 6. It was a win more card when it worked, and it was pretty subpar aside from that. She was replaced with Mulan, the 4/3, 2 quester, upgraded stats, 1 less lore pip. You do get some cost reduction, but I like it, especially as an additional shift target for both of the Mulans that shift on 5. They're both in the cube and are both incredibly powerful when you can shift and play them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Queen of Hearts was definitely some magical Christmas land there.
Yep. Yeah, once ever we have quested for 6 with that card. Then we'll move on to Baloo von Bruenwald. Again, this is more of an aggro card. I really just tried to have all the bodyguards in at one point, and this is kind of one of the last remnants of having every bodyguard in. A bodyguard that does not hit back is not much of a bodyguard at all. He just kind of gets run over. You get your couple of lore, but your opponent's going to have no trouble clearing this. And for uninkable 3, you want to be doing something of a higher quality. So we have Goofy. It's a turn 4 kill spell or a removal spell. 1/2 quester, tap, banish this to banish chosen character. The Namari that does this at the 4 cost has always been one of my favorites. I don't know if it reads underwhelming, but people don't seem to take it. But just a card that you can have sitting on the board that says if you play your best card, it doesn't get to challenge your quest.
Yeah, no, I've had Goofy in one sealed, and he performed a lot better than I thought he was going to. So yeah, I see exactly what you're saying with being able just to play him, and then they have to figure out what to do next. Like which character do I play? Can I wait to play this?
Or even if they play their really good character, you can play Goofy in response on your next turn and be like, all right, you have 1 turn, you better make it count. The next one was Donald Duck, the 1/5 evasive, who gets extra lore for the damage he holds. Here's a 5-drop. This was a nod to trying every legendary. I've seen this card do some work a couple of times, but it tends to not be very good. So it was just time for him to go, and he was replaced with McHorn. We replaced Baloo, the bodyguard, with McHorn, the bodyguard. Even though there are different costs, we can kind of see that shift that way. He's just a house.
Yeah, he's
this
huge.
Card comes down, you're going to have to put a couple things into him or give up a very important character usually. The next one's Mayor Winddancer. Big vanilla, figured he was worth a shot at the 5/7. He still was a house in play, but just as the vanilla, he didn't always make people's decks. The uninkables they're going to run, people tended to want them to be a little bit better than this, and he was substituted for Isis. Isis has been an all-star. More ways just to tap things down when you can dictate when your opponents have to exert their characters and take care of them before they get to use them. Is always going to put you at an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm loving Isis so far.
Yeah, take her highly in draft. She's been really good there as well. She's very good here.
Yeah, just being able to control the action a little better.
Yep. Yeah, anytime, even that 2-drop Pinocchio is still in the cube, the one that when you play him, you get to exert one of their characters. Mm-hmm. Anything that lets you dictate the pace of the game. And this is the last character slide. Tinkerbell. This is a card that's been in since the beginning. The 1/4, look at the top 4. You can reveal a character and put it into your hand. Just so understated at 4 cost, even though it draws you the card back. This card was just hard to play. You're always looking at you have this Isis in hand that you want to play instead, or a Slushy now at the 4-drop spot. The 4 drops that you get for an uninkable are just substantially better now, and she was replaced with Scrooge. This will draw you a card once he's in play for a turn. Scrooge performed substantially better than I thought he would. Oftentimes you're going to get more than one. At least when I've played him, I've managed to work it to be able to get multiple quests out of him.
That's pretty good.
He's been pretty good. He's on the short list. He may not survive forever, but he's been pretty decent so far.
Yeah, I could definitely see him being a solid card in the cube. Just the card draw is nice.
All right. Then we have the 4-drop Isma. This is whenever she banishes a character, you can deal 1 damage to chosen character, or whenever one of your characters banishes a character. She just didn't throw around enough damage. Her, again, like that Tinkerbell, that 1/4 stat line at 4 uninkable is underwhelming. There is the 6-cost Yzma shift, but people tend to not shift that card, and I think that card might be seen close to the end of its days as well. And she was replaced with Sven, stat monster when he attacks, when he challenges. Rush, challenger, evasive. He's going to be able to take out most characters without them knowing he's coming. Even if he has to trade in the process. Just another solid rush body.
Yeah, having all those keywords. Yeah, like having evasive is pretty crazy.
Yep. Yeah, keyword soup is always going to be tasty. And then the next one, this was actually one of my like pet card personal favorites in the cube, the Go-Go Tamago 4-cost. I really want this card to be so much better than it ends up being. The fact that you need to shift it in order to make her banish something to the Inkwell, it rarely came together. Again, a card that would force you to take a suboptimal card in the 1/3 Go-Go that we'll see replaced in a couple of slides. It just never panned out how I wanted it to.
Yeah. Got replaced with a big body. Slushy, 5/5 for 4, uninkable, evasive. With the Go-Go, it's, there's only, you probably only had like 3 shift targets with Morph, the 1/3 and the 2/2 for 2. So yeah, it's hard to even get that shift. Like you have to take it and then hope you can get the shift, or take the shift and then hope you can get the target and hope you can get the big shift one.
So many drafts I tried and failed. So now we just have Slushy, a 5/5 beater, evasive. Just a solid upgrade, I think.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now we get into actions. All right. So, like I had said, I think we only have one character swap on this slide, but I'm trying to up the amount of actions and songs in the cube over time. Always trying to make Shark a little bit better. Prince Charming is one of the legendaries that got a shot. This card is buns. we tried. We saw him in play. The fact that he restricts you from challenging as well makes him not. You want an effect like that generally to be one-sided. At one-sided, this effect would probably be too strong.
Right.
So for that reason, he gets the axe for
a Raging Storm. Banishing all the characters, having a second copy of one of these type of spells with Be Prepared. Definitely allows for multiple people to play better control decks, or possibly just have the best control deck if you get them both.
Jeez. And don't worry about getting to 8. You get to 8 in cube. If you want to, you draw enough cards and the games go long enough that you're going to play those turns. So yeah, this was an obvious include once it was previewed. We only have one of these effects in Lorcana currently. So to be able to add a second one, even though it costs one more, even though you can't sing it, you still have to find a home for cards like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one was Mouse Armor, 2-cost uninkable item, exerted to give a character resist 1 or until the start of your next turn. I had both armors. There's the other one that gives a character resist 2. That one bit the bullet a couple sets back. People just never play these cards. It's a powerful effect, but for an uninkable item without, the item synergy, they just never made the cut. And it was replaced with card draw.
Yeah, card draw is great. Wisdom of the Willow, 4-cost uninkable action. For the rest of the turn, whenever you quest, you draw a card. Yeah, I'm assuming this is going to be drawing you at least 2 cards each time, at a minimum, and possibly a lot more. If you can get a turn off where you can get a large quest and draw 4 or 5 cards, and they have to come back to not lose, to get rid of your whole board, you can just replay a new board.
Yep, the card advantage here is spectacular. This was a card I wasn't sure, honestly, at first originally, just because it's a 4 uninkable, and it is a little bit conditional of having a board, but those are very easy conditions to meet generally, and the card advantage you can get off it is stupendous. The next one we have is Hot Potato. It's a 3-cost action. Deal 2 damage to a character or banish an item. It was replaced, I think, pretty easily in my mind.
Yeah, for a cheaper version, the Terror That Flaps in the Night. since you added 4 Darkwings to the set.
Yep. Rarely anyone played it to banish an item. And 3 cost to deal 2 damage is too much. Too much ink to pay for that. And there's plenty of other ways in the cube to deal with items. So when people are picking a steal removal spell, they want it to be a removal spell. So why not make it a Baboom with upside? Next we have Making Magic. This is a 3 cost that moves 1 damage and draws a card. Super minor effect. It is probably 3 because it draws the card and it's inkable, but not quite what we want. So this was easily replaced with
Ohana means family. Yeah. Drawing 5 cards, like you said earlier. Just wins games.
Yep.
Yeah, Making Magic, it's just too expensive for what it does.
Yep. That's a card you want with Shark, so you can replay it a bunch of times, but I'd rather replay Ohana. I think that's all the action swaps we have. Next is songs, and we can see here that 3 of the song swaps were actually for characters. Really trying to up the song counts in the cube over time. Make some of the cards a little bit stronger. Ursula 3 was in the cube forever, and she came out, I think, 2 updates ago, or an update and a half ago. She just never did the thing, because like I said, it's hard to get songs. They're drafted pretty highly. Max Goof still remains because he can actually get things up to 4, so it widens the perspective a little bit on the cards that you're able to take and make work with him. And you can play, Ursula forces you to hold songs so that you can sing them and get the effect out of them. Max lets you play the songs early when you need them, and then when you play Max later, lets you reuse them out of your discard. So the first one up is Go-Go Tamago. This was one of the shift targets for the Go-Go that got cut earlier. She was replaced easily with
Education and elimination. 4 cost, inkable. And you get the choice whether to draw a card and give one of your characters +1 lore and gain evasive, or banish a damaged character. Yeah, this is just a great song. Versatility is always great.
Yep, this card has overperformed so far, I think. And again, this is a place where I'm not quite as worried about making sure that the ink costs line up. Really, it's just about increasing the density of songs and getting rid of some cards that are unplayed. Bosses on a Roll. This is another card that I always expected to do better. This lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then, put any number on top and bottom, just like max filtering, and then you even gain a lore as a bonus. People just didn't play it. Always found something better to put in those non-character spots in their deck. So it's time to try something else.
And we're getting a Kud Etamude, maybe.
Close enough.
3 cost uninkable, and then you pay 2 less for the next character you play, and you draw a card. I haven't played it in any limited format yet, but I've been playing it in Constructed, and I love it.
And it replaces itself. If this card didn't replace itself, it would have no chance of making it. This is one of the few spots where we're going to see an inkable card get shifted for an uninkable card. I think that the potential of this card is just way too high to not give it a shot. Next we have Dale, the Bumbler, the 1/3 for 1. The Chippendale Recovery Rangers, the big 8-drop, has, I still think, 3 or 4 other shift targets. Those are a little bit more apt to shift onto because they all cost 3 and 4, so you're, getting a little closer in the curve. Your 1-drop sticking around to be shifted on turn 6 isn't always going to happen. And these vanilla 1/3s is just such a miserable stat line. Calhoun just chomps on these things.
Yeah, just such a bad top deck.
Yep. So he was replaced with
Marching Off to Battle, more card draw, 4 cost song. If a character was banished this turn, draw 2 cards. Yeah, there we have a lot of challenging in a queue, so drawing cards is going to be pretty easy off this one.
Yep. Not Friends. I mean, like I think I said in the set review, I mean, Friends is just so overpowered now, looking at how they print cards now. The power creep in the characters and the power nerfing in the actions, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like old Magic.
Right, exactly.
Uh, the next one is Merlin, Intellectual Visionary, the 6-cost uninkable 3/7. If you shift him onto another Merlin, you get to look through your deck for any card. Don't reveal it, just put it right into your hand. It was just too hard to pull off. And when you play this guy as a 6 uninkable 3/7 2-quester, is just so understated for 6 without being able to draw that card off of it. This was stuck around probably a few sets longer than he should have, just because I want him to be so
Yeah.
much better than he is.
And normally tutors are just so good that they're first pickable, but this one there's too many hoops to jump through, and it's expensive.
Yeah. So he was swapped out for.
Grab your bow. 5 cost uninkable song. Banish up to 2 chosen characters with 2 strength or less. So I had talked about this in my first sealed, how it overperformed and how great it was. In my second sealed, in 4 of the 5 games, it sat in my hand the whole game.
Okay, they just never played cards that it could.
They had nothing I could banish with it. At one point there was one character I could banish with it. I can't remember what it was. But they ended up challenging with it, so it didn't even matter.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I guess cards like this, there are multiple ways in the cube to reduce the strength of the characters to make sure that your big Sisu can hit and the cards like this can hit. We'll see the utility this card has over time.
Mm-hmm.
They're printing more and more cards that have higher strength just printed on them, but your best utility cards are still going to have low strength, because they want that utility to matter, so they don't make the cards too overpowered. So we'll see how it shakes out a little bit down the line. And that was it for songs. So we have a few item updates. The first one was Longboat. This is a 2-cost uninkable that you can pay 2 to give a character evasive till the start of your next turn. There was a point where we needed to make sure that we could banish Diablo. But now there are so many evasives. I mean, we have the White Rabbit now that you can play on turn 1, so that even if your opponent manages to shift to Diablo, you can take it out after they get just one card out of it. There's more evasives. Evasives are stronger than ever. We have the new song, Education or Elimination, that I don't think make this card necessary anymore.
Yeah, makes sense.
We swapped it for
Snowfort, 3-cost uninkable. Your characters get +1 strength, and during your opponent's turn, your characters have resist 1. Yeah, this card is great. In all formats. I'm assuming it's gonna be great in cube.
Yep. It's just an onboard trick that you have to think about every turn. Looking forward to losing to this card. The next one's Healing Decanter. This is a 2-cost item. You can tap, remove 2 damage, or exert, remove 2 damage from chosen character. There's just not enough utility for this card. There's a couple other damage removal only cards in the cube, and most of their time is drawing to an end.
All right.
This was replaced with
Tiny Tim's Crutch. Tiny Tim's Crutch made it in?
I wanted to give it a shot. This is another tester.
Do you also have the Scepter?
I do not. Scepter had never made it in, and then after hearing, rave reviews and having some decent luck with it myself in this retail limited, I want to give it a shot in the cube. And it combining with the Rapunzel 2-drop legendary that puts the shield on things. There's some nice stuff you can do with support as well.
Yeah. Support is surprisingly a lot better in limited than it is in constructed.
Yep. Yeah, I'm curious to see how it plays out. It may not be long for the cube. Again, once Hiram comes back in, a card like this, becomes, Hiram fodder. We'll see how it plays out. This could be one of the first ones back out. The last item is Jumbo Pop, 3-cost uninkable. Banish this item, remove 2 damage from each of your characters and draw a card. Nobody played this card.
Yeah, just too expensive to draw the card.
Yep. And uninkable. If it was inkable, it probably had a chance at staying, but in its current state, it just didn't make the cut.
So you replaced it with Kristoff's Loot, which is also 3-cost uninkable. But this one lets you get a little bit of card advantage. Exert and pay 2 to reveal the top card of your deck, then you may play it immediately. Or put it in your discard.
Yeah. I actually have not played this card yet. I haven't had an opportunity to, but maybe that's why it made it in, because I haven't seen if it's good or bad yet. Have you played this at all?
No, I have not played it at all. But I would assume that it's better in Cube than it is in Retail Limited. Because you're just gonna have more powerful cards. You're gonna be able to ink higher. You're gonna be able to draw more cards. You're gonna be
That's
able
the
to play like the cards as a reveal are gonna be top tier.
Yep. And that one of my concerns with putting this card in is your hand is rarely empty in Cube. So I'm wondering if you're ever going to get to the point where you need to activate it because, you generally have things to do throughout the game. So we'll see. They don't print a ton of items, so I like to try the ones that look interesting. On to locations. We had 2 switches here. The first one is Fang, River City. This one gives your characters ward and evasive while they're at it. 4 to play, 2 to move characters, 2 lore pips. So it should have been strong, but I think it turned out that 2 ink to move characters to a location almost makes them unplayable in most circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
People never put this card in their deck. They didn't draft it. They didn't play it. So it was time to move on. And we're going to try out
the Graveyard of Christmas Future. 4 cost inkable, 8 willpower, only 1 to move, 1 lore pip, and then whenever you move a character here, put a card under it. And then at the start of your turn, you may draw all the cards under it. Or is it under it?
Yeah.
Yeah, draw the
You have
cards
to
from under
banish
it,
it.
and then banish it.
Yep.
Yeah, I have seen this draw a few cards in Retail Limited. I'm guessing it'd be a little easier to protect it in Cube, and you might be able to get you 3 cards off it pretty easily, is my guess.
Yeah, you have to time it right,
Yeah.
I think. And it may not make it. Locations are super finicky card type. So we'll see what the long-term plan is for this card, but I definitely wanted to give it a shot. And then the last card that came out for a location is the Damona's book, the Grimorum Arcanium. I thought it would, ignoring the Damonas get rush. I thought that during your turn, whenever opposing character becomes exerted, gain a lore. I think I had originally read this as when your opponent's characters get exerted, gain a lore. So it would kind of keep your opponents from doing things. This card is bad in Cube. There's not enough Damonas. It was just a misread, and the first couple times I knew it was coming out in the next update.
And you replaced it with the Game Preserve. 3 cost inkable location, 4 willpower, 1 to move, 2 lore pips, and while a character with evasive is here, the location gains evasive. Yeah, you got a fair number of evasives in the Cube. This probably is going to get probably potentially win some games.
Yeah, again, a card I haven't gotten to play with in Cube yet, but I'm excited for it. I had picked one to Dumbo in the last heads up draft I did with Ethan, my son, and didn't see this, but ended up with like 11 or 12 evasives in my deck. Because you just straight, with Dumbo as a pack 1, pick one, you just prioritize them, so Dumbo's always good. Game Preserve would have been OP in that deck for sure.
When you guys heads up Cube, do you just do a regular draft, or do you do a pick 2? Or
no, we do a 16 packs. So for a normal draft, we would each put 4 packs in. So we each put 8 packs in. And then we do pick 1, burn 1.
Okay.
So every pack you draft, you end up with 6 cards out of. So you have to draft twice as many packs. It's pretty impossible to do for Retail Limited because you're basically burning a whole box to do one draft heads up. But better than just ripping packs.
For sure.
But yeah, that's how we do a lot of our drafts. Is
Okay.
the 16 with pick 2 because it actually gets a lot more of the cards from the Cube into play.
Yeah.
So we're not just seeing such a small band.
When we used to do heads up draft, we used to do Winston draft. I don't know if you've heard of Winston.
Oh,
where the 5 piles,
We always did it with 3. I've never Winstoned with 5.
Yeah, it was 5. So we always did 5. And so, look at it, take it, or go move on to the next pile, and then put one on top.
Add the card
to the top. Yeah. And so then, it was always fun trying to decide, how big, it's almost playable, take both of them, but maybe put a third on it and hope I wheel it,
Yep. Maybe this next pack will be the God pack.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe the next pack will be the card I need.
Yeah, we haven't actually Winstoned the Cube. Maybe I think we're gonna try that this next week. I'll report back next week
Yeah,
with how the Winston goes.
And the other way was fact or fiction drafting.
I don't know that one.
So you know the card.
I know
Fact or
the
fiction?
card where you
that's what you do. You just go back and forth, taking 5 cards, put it in 2 piles. They pick, and then you go back and forth, just doing that over and over again.
and you get the other.
Yeah, you just get the other.
Oh man, that sounds like a ton of fun
sometimes
too.
Sometimes you're like, oh, I already got 2 shift Mulan. I got 2 Mulan targets. You know, you got to like put the one Mulan by itself to get the 4 other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know every card they have.
Yeah, everyone knows every card.
Completely
so
heads up. Oh wow, that sounds awesome. Yeah, we're definitely going to give that a shot this week. All right, so those are all the updates. That was 53 cards. That was what went in, and the cards that replaced them. These I think were the next 10 cards that I had eyes for while I was doing my updates. You'll notice that the vast Scrooge got flipped. I wonder how that happened. Anyway, you'll notice the vast majority of these cards are uninkable. The most powerful cards tend to be. So you really have to make the hard choices when you're looking at the uninkable swaps. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with half your cube is uninkable and straight unplayable. Ralph is the conditional board wipe. I think was like the next card out. But I don't know if he's too finicky. He really, he should get the legendary treatment and get that test run. But that 7 uninkable spot is a really tough one to get into. I mean, you're looking at cards like Hades at that point.
Yeah, cards that are just a little easier to make work. And I guess if they have enough self-banish cards, but I don't even know if there are that many in the game completely. Something where you can immediately play it and get rid of it, so it acts as a board wipe.
Yep. Yeah, but even still, even if you play it and boost it, and that you're at turn 8, and you already have to have the card in play.
Right.
It's not even like bouncing it'll do the thing. You have to actually have it banished. So that's a tricky one. I'm not sure he'll make it. The next 2 are kind of like the same reason they didn't make it in, the Scrooge and the Mini. Both of these cards want you to have a ton of boost cards in play, or at least a couple, to really make them tick. Hopefully they continue to use the boost mechanic. I think it's an incredible mechanic. It allows for some really interesting design space. And with all the bounce, like I said, having cards with cards under them to be able to pick up can be super advantageous during the draft.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they can at least continue it through the rest of this story arc or block, whatever they want to call them, where every 4 sets, so they have a villain at the end. And they start getting put on new types of characters, because right now it's just Whispers and Ghosts that have the boosts, but maybe once Toy Story comes out, something else will.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be... I really hope they continue it, because, I mean, we only got the dueling cards for 2 sets, so they may do like a 2-set kind of swap for these things, but hopefully boost is a mechanic. Most of the mechanics they've introduced, they've continued to print past their initial sets, so I'm really interested to see where this design space takes them. The next couple cards, kind of utility-ish cards. The Goofy card that allows you to boost it to make them discard a bunch of cards. Discard is not fun. Bucky was never in the cube. It was never my goal. Like Prince John was never in the cube. It was never my goal to make your opponent discard a ton of cards. There's some one-off stuff with the Daisy Duck cards that do it. The not Mother Knows Best. The 2-cost song, Sudden Chill, is in the cube. A little bit of one-off discard here to make your opponent think about what they really want.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that's going to make them like bend to my will is not in the cube. Things that are going to lead to a very unfun experience. I don't know if you've ever been mind twisted in Magic for a substantial amount of cards.
Well, yeah, but lots. I mean, I was the cube I went to last weekend, I was mind twisting people.
Yep. It's fun for you.
It's definitely, no, they were not having a good time.
Yeah, when your opponent goes turn 2, Dark Ritual, mind twist you for 3 or 4, and you're just like, all right, this is no longer a game. So Goofy might have been left on the sideline for fun reasons. Rapunzel, strong effect, I think. Just the 3 uninkable spot couldn't find a home for her. Same with Iduna. Chernobog is a really interesting one, as I've seen that card in play a little bit more over the last couple of weeks, watching some core streams. If you time it right early in the game, it really is just a removal card.
Mm-hmm.
But the late game of this being able to get back some of your opponent's more powerful things, I'm not sure where I land on this card.
Yeah, at least it's a May ability, so you can always just play it as a vanilla 5/4. But yeah, I think I like that card a lot.
Yeah, he's towards the top of the list. He probably should have been up there next to Ralph. Marshmallow, again, the kind of stasis effect where they only get to ready one thing. Can be an unfun card to play against. I'm not sure he'll ever make it, but I didn't want to overlook the raw strength of that ability.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that could possibly be a catch-up mechanic too.
True. Yeah, you'd have to be, if you're behind and you can stop your opponent from doing a bunch. But if you're ahead, it's definitely a win more.
Locks out the game. Just unfun for the opponent for sure.
Yep. Because we're playing a game. We want to have fun. Even when we're doing super powerful things, it's still about having a good time. So the Goofy 5, another effect that I'd like to have repeat instances of in the cube. A way to ready exerted characters, get that extra quest off with your high value character, ready something like a bolt where you can exert it just to gain lore equal to your ready characters, ways to close out games pretty quickly. He was pretty close. And, I really thought I'd find a place for Launchpad with the Darkwing inclusions. I just couldn't find a place to squeeze in the Uninkable too.
Yeah.
Anything you think I missed?
No, nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah.
All right. I didn't fail the test. All right. So that was the outside looking in portion. And then we have some cube sample packs. So we did a draft at my local store last week. We had some leftover packs because when we do a draft, I pack up the entire cube, even if we're only going to have, 8 people. We only had 6, but then I just set out the box with all the packs in it and everyone gets to take 4, and it provides a true randomness to the cube. A couple things to keep in mind when looking at the pack. Every pack starts with 1 or 2 enchanteds as its base. That way, every time someone opens a pack, they really get to open that magic. Not everyone gets to open a bunch of packs. And even when you're not keeping the cards, the feeling of opening a pack and seeing that enchanted card in it makes everyone just a little bit happy to see that fanciness in their pack. And then the second part of it is there's a second layer that's put on top of that where I take all of the cards left that have that are either removal or card advantage. They get shuffled into a pile and then they're evenly distributed as well. That way there's no super loaded packs that just have all the card advantage or all the removal, and then the rest of the cube is laid evenly over the top of that. So every pack will have those couple of things in it. So it's not a true random distribution, but it is random within those tiers of cards.
All right.
So let's take a look.
We got a Go-Go, Kita Bodyguard, Minnie Mouse Bodyguard, Support Nani, McHorn Bodyguard, Enchanted Elsa, 2-drop Scrooge, Beyond the Horizons, Mosquito Bite, Dig a Little Deeper. This is the evasive 4-drop genie that when exerted gives your other characters +2 strength.
Correct.
Or he gives himself to. It's all characters, I think, right?
All characters, yeah.
And Wildcat, the banish an item evasive 2/3. Man.
Where do your eyes go?
My eyes immediately go to Scrooge and Go-Go. And then probably 4-drop genie. Maybe dig a little deeper.
Yeah, I think after all of our Scrooge talk tonight,
I'm probably taking Scrooge.
I want to try some more Scrooge. Having 2-drops is super important. Having 1-drops, not so much, but making sure that you have, and especially when you get the opportunity to take what is probably one of the best 2-drops in the cube now. Any game you open on this, and then this is going to make you want to prioritize bounce as you go through the cube, knowing that you'll have a good opportunity to play Scrooge and then pick him up.
Yeah, and then another thing to think about is, since we'll just say this is an 8-person draft, so what do you think the 4 cards coming back to you are? Right. So, like, I'm assuming Mosquito Bite's going to come back. Wildcat's going to come back. Probably Nani is my guess as
And
one of the third
Kita.
ones. And which one? And Kita?
Kita,
Yeah.
I would guess.
So, like, are you happy with one of those cards? You think you're okay with one of getting a Kita or a Nani coming back? Like, since there's 3 bodyguards in this pack, getting one on the back with the Scrooge is nice. Or maybe
Yeah,
I take the evasive because I think I'm going to get Kita bodyguard for later.
right. I mean, the Kita bodyguard can also set you up to do Kita shift, which is really good. I have been Kita under the seed many times in this cube.
All right.
Wildcat's a good option because it is item removal. You know, your opponents aren't going to be playing a ton of items, but the ones that they play are going to be impactful, and you're going to want to have at least one way in your deck to deal with those. So when it comes back, I mean, you're still, even with those 4 cards, going to have a pretty tough decision.
Yeah.
Because I've used that Nani ability to a good effect as well. Being able to reduce the strength of multiple characters in the same turn can be very helpful as well. So I think I'd land with you on Scrooge. I think my next pick would actually be maybe the Genie over Go-Go. Being able to buff your entire board on that evasive body is really nice. Don't sleep on buffing your board. And Dig always impresses. Being able to look at 7 and keep 2, you're going to find the answer you need or the character you need to win the game at the point you're singing that out.
Yeah, I definitely agree about Dig.
Else is always tempting.
Yeah, for sure.
But not at the power level of a first pick. All right, let's move on to pack 2. Hypnotic. Shercon. Lady Tremaine.
This the new one? Yes, the Whisper. Okay.
Yeah, the one that lets you play the actions again. I've played Dragonfire
multiple times
off of her. It's very nice. The Leaning Tower of Chisa. Angela. The Horseman. King Candy. Robot Queen. Mulan. Goofy. Vision. And Cannons. This is actually a pretty heavy uninkable pack.
Yeah.
We got 5 in there.
This one's tough. Especially for like a first pick.
I like Horseman. I like Mulan. I like Mulan because you have plenty of opportunity to set her up.
Yeah, I mean, Mulan just rolling around for 6 can just stall a board. And then especially if like you have any type of pump effects, like onboard pump effects like Lumiere or I don't know, isn't the 2-drop Madame Mim in this one?
She is skateboard.
Yeah.
Skater Mim. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just the next turn having a tap effect and as they sit there can just be so good.
Yep. As good as she is when she shifts, you're going to want to make sure that you can buff her power. All the support cards go way up once you have this card.
Yeah, that's true.
All the Mulans go up once you have this card because being able to shift her unsuspectingly is going to help you clear out what could be an otherwise insurmountable board. That Shere Khan card has given me so many headaches, being a big evasive and being able to place the damage on cards. Horseman is an all-star, you know, being able to banish something on play and then turning your other characters into bigger threats than your opponent was expecting. Also very good. You know, we discussed how good Angela was during the swap talk. And, you know, even that Goofy, the Rush evasive, it's not a first pick, but it's a card not to be slept on because he just comes in out of nowhere and takes out your Dumbo or takes out your Diablo. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning to 6-drops, I think. Mulan or Shere Khan. I've seen that Shere Khan be pretty good in a limited setting, so.
Yeah, I mean, it makes your opponent think about things, and I mean, if they can't deal with it, he just quests, puts a damage on something, and you know the next turn that thing is gone. So it makes your opponent make some really tough decisions. The 6 uninkable is kind of tough to start with. I guess Feet to the Fire, I'm probably taking Mulan, because it's inkable and
Yeah.
because of the volume of shift targets it has. And then you'll see like the 1-drop King Candy there. That's for the shift target, the one that shifts for 3 to draw 2 cards and, bottom 1. Typically, if you're playing My Cube, if your opponent plays a vanilla 1-drop, that shift has a
In
good
the deck,
chance of
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, and so like on the lap back, like you assume King Candy's going to be there, but if he's not, someone took the shift earlier. You can get some reads from it.
I'm stoked almost with any card I get back out of this pack.
Yeah. I mean, I was even like first looking through the pack, like Visions of the Future was a consideration for me for a second too, even for a first pick. Just having the ability to just dig through and
find your card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm with you on the Mulan just because of the ink ability.
This is a tough one. You might even get Bobby back.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Stellar 1-drop. Get some early filtering, get the extra uninkable out of your hand. Still not a bad card.
Yeah, maybe let you play a little greedier with some more powerful cards. If you get enough of the filtering.
I love it.
We got a third pack. All right.
Oh, there's one more after this. We got 4 packs.
All right, so we got Maximus, the bodyguard, Baymax, the look at the top 4 to find a Floodborn, Jiminy Cricket boost, Under the Sea, Castle Wyvern, Bucky, the one that's comes back to your hand when he's banished, or draws you a card when he's banished.
Draws a card when he's banished.
Chomp, Popsicle, Thunderbolt, Shinzi, the 3-drop with evasive, the Archimedes 1-drop vanilla shift target, and Mob Song.
I mean, my eyes start to go to Under the Sea.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just snap Under the Sea no matter what.
Yeah, it's oppressive. There's cards that'll help you deal with the strength of your opposing characters. If Under the Sea's not here, I'm probably looking at Bolt.
Yeah.
Or Mob Song. Mob Song is... People are really scared of this card to play it because they see that 10 uninkable. But when you tap 2 or 3, you tap a couple of cards later in the game to sing this, and you clear out 3 of their cards for 1, your game is locked.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I was playing Mob Song and Constructed for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
It was fun. I was playing the last set. I was playing Circle of Life and Mob Song.
Yeah, one of my Super Seal decks had a Mob Song in it, and one of my teammates came over while I was building, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4 Mob Song."
Yeah.
You just profit.
Yeah, definitely the 2 huge removal spells and the single target removal are where my eyes go. But yeah, I think I'm definitely picking Under the Sea first.
Yep. I'm with you. We have Sisu, the 1/1 that is evasive and banishes something with 1 strength or less. Go the distance. This will ready a character and draw a card. Bolt, the support 2/4, shift target. Chippendale Recovery Rangers. Iago, everyone knows this Iago. Ring the Bell, banish a damaged. Iconic Hades, this is one of the prizes of My Cube. Everyone's probably familiar with this card as well. Comes into play, and you're either going to get to draw 2 or put something on the bottom of their deck. The new Darkwing, Big Duck, Magic Broom. We have the Raging Storm. We have Darkwing. And Fidget.
Yeah, man. It's like last pack. I think I just take the Raging Storm.
I think you have to from this pack as well.
Yeah, but I like Hades a lot, and I've loved Fidget. I don't know how good he is in your cube, but I'm playing him in Retail Limited. He was so good.
He's incredibly good. Evasive, that gives things evasive for a turn cycle. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing to hate about that. Don't sleep on Chippendale though. Chippendale is an insanely powerful card. I had an opponent with the Greatstone Dragon and was just recalling 2 cards a turn. You have to ink a card out of your inkwell to be able to trigger it, but it's not limited to once per turn. Anytime you ink a card, you get to buy a character back.
Yeah, Chippendale, I like him a lot too. I've played him in Constructed also. It's always nice getting stuff back, especially in the cube setting. Like most of your characters are very powerful, so you want to recur them as often as possible.
Is there anything to taking Darkwing and wheeling Darkwing?
I mean, Probably not.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think
so either. I
I
just
think the
wanted to
other
ask.
cards are too powerful. Like, let me see. Like, what? Let's see. Let's like, what's last pick? Is last pick probably ring the bell? Maybe bolt.
Go the distance is probably the last pick, I
Oh,
would
yeah,
think.
you're
Well,
probably right. So I'm just saying, like, maybe if I have third pick, I could think about no, because third pick, then
yeah, this is going to be Storm, I think, then Hades, then probably Iago,
yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to get them both out of the same pack.
or maybe even Fidget above Iago. Storm, Hades, Fidget, something
Yeah,
like that. But if you have Sisu 8 and this is pack 2, are you taking Sisu 3?
absolutely.
Okay, over Storm.
Yeah,
So that's one of the things you also have to consider when thinking about cube draft is everything context changes
yep,
so quickly. You know, you think as a pack one pick one, you're snapping Storm every time. But, you know, pack 2 pick one, you know, you have big Sisu that you snapped off pack 1 pick one, you know, you want to get those shift targets.
yeah, and I'm assuming if I'm taking Sisu, I've already been taking any type of strength reduction, so he's just gets better. Also, he'll be able to kill a lot more targets than normal.
Absolutely. All right.
That's the end of it.
That was all of the samples that we had for today. So that brings us to the end of our little venture into Cube. So if you're interested in finding out more about Cube, there's a website called Cubecana, CUBECANA.com. We'll have a link in the show notes. This is where users can upload versions of their cube. You can view their list. There's even a link to load their cube onto a website called Draftmancer, where you can simulate drafting their cube against robots. The robots are bad. They're very bad because they know magic cards. They don't know Lorcana cards. You know, you'll get a Dumbo legendary 5th pick, which will never happen in reality. But if you just want to get a feel for kind of what a typical cube draft looks like, you can load my cube. You can load there's a ton of amazing cubes out there, and just get a sample of how people are building their cubes and what a draft would look like. There is a limited Lorcana Discord channel if you're on Discord. I believe it's open access to anyone who wants to join. Just search the Lorcana Limited Discord, or the Limited Lorcana Discord. And there's conversations all the time about retail limited, pack one, pick one, card rankings. There's a whole channel for Cube where people put up pack one, pick ones that they find on Cubecana. Not to brag, my cube's been featured on there. It's a great resource for cubing. Any closing cube thoughts?
I'm excited to finish building this cube. I'll have to update it. I think I also have an idea for a cube I want to look into and see how start slowly building it, put it together to see if it will be good or not. And I think we're trying to get the team together again, like I said, at the end of March to do our first cube.
That's awesome. You're going to use mine that you built?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to hear how it goes and see pictures of the decks that you guys come up with. It's always fun to see
end up expanded. I might try. So I had an idea, instead of doing 12 cards a pack, to do 15.
We've done that. We've done 13 packs. We've done 14 card packs. We've tried all different things.
Just to get up to 60 cards and make that cutting that down to 35 like just super hard and just make everything just slightly more powerful.
Yep. We've done 5-pack drafts with the 12 cards, so you end up with the same thing. You end up with 60. Because when you only have, if you have 8, 48 is plenty. But if you have 6 players, and you want to get more of the cube into play to make sure that you get those combos and synergies, there's absolutely nothing wrong with bending the rules. Cube is your own design, and feel free to do whatever makes you happy. It's about playing the game and having fun.
We'll probably try a couple different ones.
Excellent. I'm really excited to hear the results of that. We're definitely going to try some fact or fiction draft this week. I am very excited about that. I want to see how my son breaks his packs up.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when it gets towards the end, it gets tough. Or like in the middle, you're trying to figure out what they have, trying to remember what they have too, a lot of the times.
Are you familiar with Rochester draft?
But yeah, I've done a few Rochesters, yeah.
I've never done one. That intimidates the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's
I've never had the opportunity. I probably would do it, but
yeah, whenever what Grand Prix was it? One of the Grand Prix I went to, early 2000s.
Okay.
Day 2 was Rochester draft.
We should say what that is. Rochester draft is a completely face-up draft, one pack at a time. So the first pack gets open, the 15, 12, however many cards get laid out on the table, and you just go around the table picking them one at a time. So everybody knows exactly what everybody has. So you know, there's a ton of different strategy there, whether or not you want to try and cut people off of what you see they're doing, if you want to just get out of their way so you can carve out your own lane. Rochester is for the big brains.
Yeah, it was fun. It turned out okay-ish.
Yeah, and the draft takes a very long time.
Forever.
Every pack is one pack at a time.
Yeah, it's one pack at a time, one pick at a time.
Yep. All right. So that wraps up this episode of Limited Quackdown. As a reminder, we have an email. Please send us your thoughts, comments, feedback. Are there cards that you think I missed, including in my cube? Are there things where you think I'm absolutely crazy for trying them out? We're limitedquackdown@gmail.com. Please, we're on the Team Snuggly Duckling feed, so please like and subscribe so that you'll be notified when we post new videos. And don't forget to check out all of the really sweet content that's made by the rest of our team. We have the weekly waddle where Mark and Dave just sit around and kind of shoot the breeze about whatever's going on that week. Topics ranging from how do you prepare for a tournament to what do you do when a new set comes out. We have Ladies Night where we have all of the incredible females on our team jiving very similar to the weekly waddle where they just talk about, whatever's on their minds and what's new in Lorcana. And then we have Ducks After Dark, where some of our most competitive players kind of get into the weeds about, some of their new favorite decks and kind of beat each other up about the cards they included or decided to leave out. So,
and then we have Tavern Talk 2, which we haven't put out in a while, but we'll eventually get back to it. Our original podcast.
Very cool. That's another deck content podcast, right?
Yeah, it's basically just talking about whatever's going on mostly, but meta breakdowns, complaining about Ravensburger, whatever we got to do.
Very cool. All right. Well, for Jimmy, I'm Joe. This has been another episode of Limited Quackdown, and we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Take care.